Good morning. My name is Brother Emil Cromwell, and I will be your Master of Ceremonies for today's event. This is the 13th annual Iota Nu Black History Month book dedication event. We are from the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. A brief history of our organization. Omega Psi Phi is the first international fraternal organization founded on the campus of Howard University, located in Washington, D.C. on November the 17th, 1911. The founders were three undergraduates, Edgar Amos Love, Oscar James Cooper, and Frank Coleman. Joining them was their faculty advisor, Ernest Everett Just. Friendship is essential to the soul. The name Omega Psi Phi was derived. That phrase was selected as the motto. Manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift were adopted as cardinal principles. We will begin today's event with an open prayer. Lord, thank you that you hear our answers and our prayers. Hear our prayers and be in the midst of our book dedication celebration today. Give us clear minds and peaceful hearts as we gather together. Fill this place with your power and help us to celebrate unity. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. We are here this morning to celebrate Black History Month with our guest speaker, Ms. Monda Raquel Webb.
Good morning. I'm Mary Hassler, Harford County Public Library CEO, and it's an honor to be here with everyone today. This is our annual Omega Psi Phi book dedication ceremony celebrating Black History Month. The library is honored and so fortunate to have an amazing, long-standing partnership with the Iota Nu chapter of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity. This year's book dedication is coming to you virtually as it did last year. But we certainly hope that in 2023, we can all meet in person again to celebrate together. The book chosen for this year is Red Clay Dirt and Mountains by the amazing Monda Raquel Webb, an award-winning author, filmmaker, and performing artist. Miss Webb was born in Charleston, West Virginia, go West Virginia, and began writing poetry and short stories before the age of 10. She attended the University of Rhode Island, we love Rhode Island too, on a basketball scholarship, and then switched to track. And listen to this, and she held the school triple jump record of 40 feet for several years. That's amazing. She graduated with a BA in broadcast journalism in May of 1990. After graduation, Monda worked on a mayoral campaign and experienced the joy of working for the first woman mayor of Washington, D.C., Sharon Pratt. She then landed a job where she learned the TV industry from the ground up, serving as a grip, production assistant, traffic coordinator, and that's a really important job, producer, reporter, and on-air personality. Currently, Monda combines producing, writing, performing, and publishing under her consulting company, Monda Media LLC. That's a great name. Where she pursues her passion for the written word, the spoken word, social media, television, and film, all under one umbrella. Monda has been voted Filmmaker of the Year by the National Black Movie Association and has won over 20 awards for her films Zoo, Volkerschau, and I'm sure I did not pronounce that correctly, and Pooch Sitter. She serves as juror of the NAACP Image Awards and the NAACP AXO competition, as well as film festivals in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Texas, New York, and France. Monda also serves as treasurer for Women in Film and Video, Washington, D.C., and is the programming coordinator and board member of the Chesapeake Film Festival. She is a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Inc., and Gamma Psi Phi, a fraternity for the arts. Storytelling is truly the heartbeat through which Manda navigates her life, and without further ado, I am very happy and honored to introduce to you Manda Raquel Webb. Yay. Come on up.
But I do want to thank you all. Good morning. So I don't want to thank everyone. I want to thank my brothers of Omega Psi Phi for this opportunity and for the recognition. And I would love to thank the staff at Harford County Library, you come in on your own time and on your recognizance to make this happen. So thank you so very much. And I was told, you can talk about yourself and, you can pretty much create your own agenda. So I guess with all my years, I've probably forgotten more that I've done than, but I'm happy to share. So yes, I am a storyteller. I was that kid who would sit at the feet of my elders at the family reunions and ask them about growing up. My other cousins were playing, but I was getting the stories. And that is something that has just stuck with me. I believe it's my purpose for being here. And as such, I wrote Red Clay, Dirt, and Mountains because I wanted to pay homage to my parents. My father is from Beckley, West Virginia, that's the mountains, and my mother is from Dawson, Georgia, the Red Clay Dirt. And I took stories from our family vault and I placed them in historical context for Red Clay, Dirt, and Mountains. Black history is largely an oral history. And oftentimes, that oral history is not passed down. And there was a time when I started to feel really anxious and say to myself, what happens if that history isn't passed down? Do we just disappear? Because in the schools, we learn a modicum of Black history. You have your Dr. Rosa Parks and Dr. Martin Luther King and Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass. That might be where it stops, right? But our history is so much richer than that. We are undoubtedly a part of the fabric that built this country. And I believe wholeheartedly that our stories deserve to be told. So a part of my work as a storyteller and filmmaker is to take those little known stories that are hidden in the crevices of history's pages and bring them to light, whether it's through a literary medium or a visual medium such as film, and primarily through a woman's lens. I hope that this book, which primarily looks at the resilience of the human spirit to overcome adversity, will become a series, or I've written a script for it, so hopefully one day it will be on the big screen. But this is one of many stories that all of us have. If we look at the history of our families, these are stories about people who are the salt of the earth, people who built this country. It's nice to see, Marvel and graphic novels and, Hollywood can do 1,000 of those. But to be able to see that which represents our reality and our heroes, right, I think that's super important. So one of my projects I'm working on currently is a documentary called Portraits in Black, honoring our national treasures. And I've had the opportunity to speak to 8 Black Americans who have lived through watershed moments in America's history. I've spoken with a Black aviator from the Vietnam War, and I'm ashamed to say that I didn't think about Black helicopter pilots in the Vietnam War, probably because I haven't seen any on television or in the movies. However, there were, as Dr. Joe Pons put it, 600 MOL, 600 more or less, because the Army didn't have a specific number of how many black pilots they were. There are two accounts. So 600 is like the median number. I had an opportunity to speak with Dr. Sybil Hampton Jordan out of Little Rock, Arkansas. She was the first African American student to graduate from Central High, and grades 10 through 12. And some of the stories that she told me are not stories that I've read in the history books. A lot of times there is a focus on the Little Rock Nine, who initially integrated Central High, but what happened afterwards, only Ernest Green graduated, only one student, and then the next year under Governor Faubus, he shut down all the schools. There will be no school because of the anti-segregationists. So in that following year, 1959, 5 students matriculated with Dr. Sybil being the youngest in the 10th grade. And out of the 3 years that she was there, no one spoke to her, not one student. And her teacher, a homeroom teacher, only called on her when it was her turn to read the Bible. Besides all of the other shenanigans, threats of physical violence, and just the emotional abuse of not being spoken to. I mean, she'd come from a very healthy community, vibrant church, friends, social life, to this. And so to think that students had to excel under those circumstances, to become the pioneers, right? We talk about that Little Rock Nine, who started it, but what about the people who finished it? So I think there's some really compelling stories that are out there. I had an opportunity to speak with Miss Joan Esser, who was the first woman to get married to a white man or a German in the state of Virginia after Virginia versus the Lovings. And to hear the things that she endured, I'm like, these kids can't complain today, right? I had an opportunity to speak with Miss Margaret Morrison, who marched on the last day from Selma to Alabama, on the last day of the march. And this is a woman who was prepared to not come back. She left Chicago after she saw what we now call Bloody Sunday, and said to herself, I have to be there. I have to show up in solidarity for my sisters and brothers. She had a toddler and a husband whom she left behind to march. And again, she was prepared to die for the cause. So there's several really great stories that I'm looking to share with others that they may not have heard or may not have read in our history books. Being as it was Black History Month, I wanted to share a poem with you that I have written in response to a lot of the turmoil that has taken place in the past couple of years. Some of you may be familiar with Nina Simone and her music, but most notably when she began to become really involved with the civil rights movement, and she wrote Mississippi Got Deep. Nina has said that it is the duty of an artist to reflect the times. And when she wrote that song, Medgar Evers was assassinated in the early part of the year. And then later in September, the 4 little girls were blown up in a Birmingham church. And, you think about, all of the emotions that are happening, not only within yourself, but within your community. And, she said, first you get really sad, and then you get mad. So when the events happened with George Floyd, we were in the middle of COVID, and I lived with an elder, and I was afraid for her. So I'm like, okay, I can't go out in the streets in March. What can I do? So I started a monthly discussion called the Healing Chronicles, Reframing Race Relations in America, to gather together allies and friends to talk about racism in this country. We can't move forward until we peel back the layers and talk about what has occurred and reconcile that, and then discuss how we move forward. So this poem that I've written that I want to share with you is also my way of marching, but it is more of a figurative march, if you will. So, did you guys have any questions before I start? Okay, I need these. All right. And as they say in some of the television programs, what you're about to see may be disturbing. It's entitled, I Can't Breathe, a modern-day Black history lesson in memory of George Floyd. Please, I can't breathe. Unarmed, harmed, swarmed by prejudice and hate, 9 minutes and 29 seconds too late. I can't breathe. George Floyd, dead. I can't breathe. Breonna Taylor, shot because the cops said her home was a drug drop. Not. I can't breathe. 1619, shackled and chained, health compromised, dignity drained, draped in pain, covered in feces, blood, beginning the DNA trauma train. As you raped me, ignored my pain, leaving a permanent stain. I can't breathe because I seethe at the many ways you try to kill me, destroy my seed, defer my dreams, scare me, tar and feather me, dare me, hang me, picnic and photograph, burned and mangled me, entangled in your pathetic tomfoolery, scorn me, trying to take a vote from me, intimidate me, make rules that eliminate me, incarcerate me, redline and blockbust me, in devalued housing and high percentage loans meant to prevent me from building wealth. I can't breathe. We wear the mask that grins and lies, but you are unmasked. Your intentions I despise, for my would have been ancestors who died at the door of no return. May the historical imperfections of your intent, snatching, stealing, dealing without our consent, burn, baby, burn. You should be ashamed at your behavior, peddling photos of a white savior. But it's me who saves you all the time, get you out of binds. Yet you strip the skin off our behinds with a rawhide whip as we built your plantation, harvested your crops, fed your baby, and sowed your drip, then skip to my loo like it's no big deal, choosing to believe the myth that we're not real, clicking your heels 3 times, blink, we're still here. Because deep inside you know that we are human. But I still can't breathe. You put lead in our water, but we wade in the water. Faith beyond your cruelty, hope above your lies. Even though we know that violence is as American as apple pie, that you're addicted to black bodies swinging from southern trees, to Colin's public humiliation for taking a knee, for a just cause, pause. While an economic noose tightens around our neck, get your knee off of our necks. We are exhausted. We cannot breathe. But no matter what you do, we will not go gently with the breeze. We will continue to march in these streets, voices hoarse, getting blisters on our feet, staying the course to lift a 400-year oppression and replace it with a succession plan. So we can breathe with policy fans and practice equality and humanity to the full extent of the law. Less. Look at this mess, reminiscent of 1968, demonstrations rushing cities like a freight train to mitigate the pain. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Eric Garner, chokehold, body crumples and folds, no more breath, a senseless death, like so many. Ahmaud Arbery, out for a jog, shot dead in the streets, an act you wouldn't perform with a dog. Dragging Michael Vick, you ain't slick, because distraction is your oldest trick. But back to Ahmaud's assassination, jogging alone down a Georgia street, nosy neighbors' fascination and hateration, sideline benching, itching for a modern-day lynching, captures the brutal death of a mother's son with a cell phone footage on repeat. Can't wait for the fellas to see, sitting at home, popping lids off cold cans of beer, walking around privileged and free for a year without fear. Authorities ignore the gory, believe the contrived story on the surface until the video surface, prompting a trial. Forget bail, because what the 3 of y'all did, what modern day guile. But now your butts are under the jail. You fumbled the ball. No video, wouldn't have been a trial at all. Now you have all the time in the world to think about the racist epithets hurled faster than the bullets that caused a hunted human to drop and curl. You watched him writhe and crawl to an undignified street grave, after which I imagine you saved the damning video in a folder labeled faves. How dare you start all this mess, this white people foolishness. When England booted you and kept their best, you sailed for the U.S. amidst great hope to make a new home, a place you can call your own, visions of church steeples, land you stole from indigenous peoples. You raped, pillaged their land, you cleared, you burned, you shot, leaving a trail of tears. You clustered Native people on reservations without reservation, and I wonder how much you owe them in arrears, the original people in this nation. Somehow you had to build my country, 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty, oh snap. Why not build on the backs of the enslaved, the new trade? Their labor will be free. Ply them with religion so they'll behave. You went to another continent, traded your soul for black gold. This must be heaven sent. More black bodies you'd bring to work, reproduce, and bow to your will, numbing your ability to feel, because black people aren't really real, and owning slaves is your divine right. A myth you believed with all your might. Refused to give up the fight with your political will on Capitol Hill, slave codes, reconstructions, black codes, Jim Crow, abductions, filibustering. You put up streetlights to see the faces of the enslaved at night. Show me your papers then, because you don't think I'm free. Show me your license now. You match a description of someone who should be arrested. Pick one, it don't matter. We all look alike anyhow. Hands up, don't shoot, legs apart. Don't hit me with your boots. Orders barked, a scuffle, indiscernible sounds, a lock, a load, shots, my brother is on the ground. I can't breathe. As you tighten the rope around a proud neck, click clack, a modern day zip tie, this begins the collective cry. The oversized sighs, manifested fears, mother's tears drip over the memories of murdered children. This vicious cycle repeats itself. Whispers from black bones, acts of crime and violence historically performed in stealth, now captured with civilian cell phones. The future does have a past. At times it's hard to tell now from then. How long can this illness called racism last? Do we need to start all over again just to be considered human? God said after Noah, he wouldn't drown us. After Sodom and Gomorrah, he wouldn't burn us. With a snap, Thanos cut the world's population in half. Well, that's not the right path. But we are a strong people, dealt a bad hand, survivors of a system meant to beat us. It's a wonder we still stand. Black lives really do matter. We will continue to fight, pull, tear, rip, and tatter at the racist fabric that formed this nation with anti-racist allies at our side. We shall overcome with forgiveness, healing, a mass reconciliation. Then, and only then, will we breathe. Thank you.
All right, Monda, on behalf of our new chapter of Omega Psi Phi, I'd like to present you with this plaque. Thank you for coming and allowing us to celebrate you, allowing us to dedicate your book to the Harford County Public Library. And more importantly, thank you for being a friend for all these years. And I'm hoping that we can collaborate and have a showcase, a film showcase in the Happy Grace area sometime in the near future. Maybe, yes?
Just say the word.
Okay, all right. God bless and thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'd like to present a token of appreciation. I'm gonna read it. Harford County Public Library, thank you for your support and dedication from the men of Overview, 4 February 2022.
Well, on behalf of the Harford County Public Library Board of Trustees, our amazing staff, and myself, thank you so much for this, and thank you for the partnership.
Thank you.
You're making a difference in the community, so thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, good morning. I'm Aurelia Burton, the boss of the new chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I would like to say thank you to this year's author, Ms. Monda Webb, and also the Harford County Public Library for this county for our continued partnership. And special thanks to Brother Ed Colin. He has been doing this for the last 4 years. and it's probably his last year. Great job. Thank you for everything that you have done. You made it, you set the standards. Thank you very much.
My name is Brother Emil Cromwell. This concludes our event. Thank you for attending today. Peace and blessings.